You know this video is legit when I have a 2-page script typed up for me because I don't want to miss anything that's important. Hey crafters, today I'm going to walk you through 5 parts of decorating for any VBS theme, especially on a budget. So I'm going to cover some basic things that you've probably already thought through, give you some pointers along the way. I'm going to teach you how you can take some basic and affordable items and turn them into really cool pieces, especially items that can be used year after year. And you definitely want to stick around for tip number 4. It is one of the biggest things that I found that is super awesome, and I wish that I'd known this years ago and had been doing this a long time ago, because it can make such a big difference in decorating for your vacation Bible school. So number 1, brainstorm. First off, under brainstorming is coming up with a budget. So when you do VBS decorations, it's crazy how much that you can spend, but it's also crazy how much you cannot spend and still end up with an amazing display. Really what you need to take into consideration is whether you have members of your congregation who say, look, I don't have time to DIY stuff, I'm not good at that, but here's $500 towards decorations. Like, that'd be super awesome, right? Or whether you have people who say, you know what, I can't afford to give any more money towards this, but I can give you a weekend. I can spend some time, I can come up and I can paint stuff, I can cut stuff out. So you really need to take that into consideration, because if you've got the funds and you're willing to use those funds towards just straight out buying decorations, it can really free up a lot of time so people can focus on other aspects of VBS. So maybe instead of everybody spending so much time on decorating, they can put a little bit more time and effort into lesson plans. You just kind of have to figure out what works best for your church. But if you're watching this video, you're probably watching because you're more in the category where you don't have a lot of fun, so you're trying to DIY things, and hopefully you have a lot of people who are willing to jump in and help. So that's actually point number 2 I'm gonna talk about, is getting your crew. But before we get there, probably you're gonna have either an individual or a group of individuals who are kind of heading up decorations, and then you'll have lots of people underneath them who are actually working on projects. So it can be really easy for things to get very confusing. So what I would recommend you do is create a Pinterest board. So first of all, I love Pinterest. It's a great way to find other ideas, especially for VBS DIY decorations. But it's also really nice because you can set up boards in lots of different ways. So what we've done in the past is we've done some shared boards where the people who are actually heading up the decorations, they're all able to put things on the same board. So one person finds an idea and they say, ooh, we should make this, they put it on the board. Another person finds an idea, ooh, we should make this, put it on the board. So you have one central location to see all your ideas. It's also really nice because even if you don't allow everybody to edit it, you can still allow everybody to see the board. So the people who are going to be helping you with making these decorations, they can look on the board and say, ooh, I can make that. And you can leave comments, you can leave descriptions. So once someone claims an item on there, you can say, okay, so-and-so is making this item, update the description. And that way everybody is on the same page and you're not having overlap. I would definitely recommend creating a Pinterest board because it's so easy to organize, and plus Pinterest will then generate other ideas that are similar to what you're looking at, and you might come across some more really cool ideas. Point number 2, as I mentioned, is getting a good crew of volunteers. Just a couple quick pointers on this. First of all, I really don't think that you actually have to have everybody that's helping with this be an artsy craftsy kind of person, okay? There are plenty of things that I'm gonna show you today that literally anyone can do, okay? You might have an adult who says, boy, I'd really love to help with VBS, but I just don't think I'm good enough. Okay, here's what you do. You give them a pair of scissors and you say, okay, your job is just to cut the butcher paper. That's something anybody can handle. And a lot of these are really simple, so even if you're not the artsy type, you can get someone to do some of the steps and then have the more artsy individuals finish up the last couple of steps. Another idea I'll throw out there is send people home with specific items. It's really good, especially for organization purposes, if you're able to take the materials and say, here, take this home with you, work on this at your own pace, and just bring it back in time. Because it really frees up people where they don't have to make an extra trip to a central location, but they're still able to get it done when they have free time. Another idea I will mention as far as having people work on this, generally speaking, more people is better than less, because if you're trying to decorate the entire church and you're doing mostly DIY, a lot of these things aren't hard, but they can be very time consuming. So really good idea is to enlist the help of the youth group. So this is super awesome because it gets the teens involved with service in the church. Now you might be thinking, are the teens really responsible enough? Is it gonna look good? But at least in my experience, as long as you have good leadership in place and you have people who know what the decoration decorations need to look like, the teens are often really excited to help because I think there's something in all of us that just loves, like, you know, kindergarten style arts and crafts, cutting up things and gluing things together. And even for those teens who aren't quite as arts and crafty as some others may be, there's still lots of ideas that really anyone can do. You know, whether it's cutting out cutouts, whether it's blowing up balloons, whether it's even just taping things on the wall, or being a help person if, you know, you need two people stretching something out. So that's another really great idea if you take just one night of youth group and say, okay, here we go, we're all gonna work together. And really, in my experience, when we've done this with youth group, is the teens really make a big dent in the overall project. And I think it's just kind of, arts and crafts are just kind of good for the soul, if you know what I mean. Just being able to, you know, get your hands dirty to create something. So now that we've covered the basics, you know what you're making, you've got people willing to help you make stuff, let's talk about what we can actually make. So I'm gonna call this third section of this video materials. And really what I'm gonna talk through is some materials that I've used in literally every VBS. And I'm also going to talk you through how you apply these same basic materials for any VBS theme. One of the first materials I will mention is a projector. So you can get like one of those old school projectors, you can get a new one, just as long as you have a projector, something that can shoot an image. This is super helpful. Your church may already have one, maybe a family in your church has one that you can borrow. But what you do with the projector is it's a super easy way to make awesome cutouts, because basically you project an image, you trace it with a Sharpie, color it in, maybe you don't color it in, paint it, add some texture, however elaborate you want to go. You cut it out and boom, you have this massive item that can go on the wall, can be part of the stage, scenery, and you don't have to worry about being artistic, right? Because most of us, you know, even the least artistic among us are probably still able to trace something out. So it's really nice because you can get items that really fit with the theme, items that look really authentic, that are sized proportionately, but you don't need someone artistic to sit there and hand draw it out. Another reason why I say get a projector is because you can use this same idea literally year after year. We've done sports themes where we traced out baseballs and bats and footballs and soccer balls, painted them, put them all over the wall, super easy with the projector. We've done some VBSs that were Western themed and we traced a giant horse, cut it out of cardboard, put it up, looks super awesome. And a lot of these cutouts you're able to use year after year. The second material that I suggest you get is some Sharpies. Now, as far as permanent markers go, really you just need permanent markers, but I have found that Sharpie is generally the most reliable. There are some great knockoff brands that are cheap, but you kind of trade off an inconsistency, if you will, where sometimes, you know, one of the markers in the pack is already completely dry. As far as Sharpies and markers go, you may want some fine point ones like this, but I would recommend getting like the really big ones like the chisel tips and the mega chisel tips, because you're gonna use these Sharpies for tracing things out. And when you're tracing, if you're doing it really fine, you're gonna be a lot more likely to notice little errors and if your lines don't connect. Whereas if you're using a thick Sharpie, it's gonna blend everything out a lot better. Plus it just goes a little faster. Sharpies are also great because it's a way you can add texture and detail to your cutouts without doing any extra painting or anything like that. You know, you just get a colored Sharpie, draw in a little detail, and poof, your project's good as new. Just the projector, say some cardboard, and some Sharpies, you've got an awesome wall piece. Another great idea to use is paint. For smaller projects, if you just need a little bit of a color, I love these apple barrel acrylic paints. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them in bigger containers, which is more bang for your buck. So if you're getting some just neutral colors, I'd recommend getting the bigger containers. Again, get them at Walmart pretty cheap, or Amazon. Obviously, these are for painting whatever you need to paint in your set. Another great idea is to ask members of your church if they have leftover paint from their own home projects, because a lot of us, you know, we like paint our homes and then we have a little bit left in the bucket and we hang on to it for years in case we ever need to do touch-ups or whatever. But by time we actually are ready to do touch-ups with the paint, what happens? We paint our homes a new color, right? Church members may have tons of mostly empty, but still a little bit in there, big jugs of paint, and if people are willing to donate those, that can really cut down on cost. Another item that's a really basic standard item that will definitely come in handy is things to cut with. That can be scissors and an X-Acto knife. That one's not working. A razor blade, razor knife. Obviously, again, you know, if you're having younger individuals work on this, especially if it's like teens, you obviously want to be smart about who you send the razors off with to cut things out. But obviously, the scissors and the razor blades are for cutting things out like cardboard, making cuts in pool noodles. We're gonna hit on that in a little bit, just to get all your decorations cut out. One last item before we get into the real items you're watching this video for is tape. So obviously you're gonna need some tape to hang up all these amazing creations that you're making, these cutouts and things. I would recommend using masking tape just like this. Masking tape usually does the best job holding things against the wall without damaging the paint. That's super crucial. You can also use duct tape, but you can also use tape as a decoration item as well. Let's say you're doing a running theme, a racing theme, a sports theme. Use some tape and make some racing lanes on the floor. Super cheap, super easy, but it adds some character and decoration to the floor. Again, same kind of idea with duct tape. Or you may decide that you need some arrows for something. So one of the themes this year is the incredible race. So I've seen a lot of ideas where you're like starting in an airport, you put tape on the floor and arrows like you're going through TSA at the airport right before launching off and flying all over the world. So tape is another great idea for that. All right, now let's hit the actual materials that are actually going to turn into our decorations. The first item is cardboard. Cardboard is awesome because it's great for cutouts, but it's also great for boxes. It's great for standalone items, for set items. So this right here is a power outlet for Power Up VBS this year. Just a piece of cardboard from a box. So boxes are great if you just need something kind of backing. Boxes are also great, and cardboard is great if you're doing trace out. So where do you get the cardboard from? Let's talk about that really quick. You can first of all look for packing manufacturers near your area. In the past, we've actually called a packing plant that's nearby our church. We've said, hey, we know you guys have big sheets of cardboard. Could we come buy a few from you? And usually what they end up saying is they go, oh, it's for church VBS? We'll just donate a couple sheets. So I'm not guaranteeing that you're just gonna be told, oh, here's some free cardboard, but even if we did have to pay, it's always been very affordable, the prices, and you may be able to talk to someone there and they may go, yeah, we wanna support that. We wanna be involved in our community and ministering to kids, and so we'll just donate some cardboard. That's super awesome. Another great place to get cardboard from is go to grocery stores, go to Lowe's, Home Depot, and just ask, hey, do you guys have any extra boxes? So I actually went to Aldi and got a ton of boxes, which I love Aldi, by the way. You can get a ton of cardboard from there. We've gotten some from Publix before. Just whatever your local grocery store is, just go in and ask. Just people would say, hey, we're decorating for a church VBS. We need cardboard boxes. Do you have any that's going out to the trash that you want to give to us instead? And a lot of times they're really happy to get rid of it because then that's one less thing they have to take care of. So the big sheets of cardboard, you can do big trace outs on them. You can also use the boxes themselves for so many things. So I've got a video coming out where I'm going to be talking about some decorations I made for the Power Up VBS. This wall outlet is one of the items, super simple. I also made an Atari joystick controller. This is actually a hollow box that I just covered in construction paper. So boxes are a great basis for a lot of items that we use in our decoration. You can also use boxes if you just need some like crates and filler things. So we've done some vacation Bible schools where it was either like a Western or it was like traveling, you know, on an old timey train. And we took some boxes, literally just took a Sharpie, drew like some planks on them and added some wood detail. We did about a dozen of these and we just stacked them up in a corner and they looked like crates that were about to be, you know, shipped off on the train or whatever the case may be. Boxes themselves are also super awesome as the basis for other decorations, as like a framework. Another item we're gonna get to in a moment is butcher paper. And sometimes you can use butcher paper, just crumple it up and make like rock kind of things. And you've probably seen on Pinterest or wherever you've been looking for decorations, you've seen these cool like waterfalls for certain themes. So what you do is you take your boxes, you stack them up to make the frame for your waterfall, you crumple up some butcher paper, cover your boxes in butcher paper, add some blue tablecloth for a waterfall. Super easy decoration, and all you needed was cardboard boxes to just stack up and give you some height, give you that base. So I think that's a natural segue into our next item, which is butcher paper. This is probably my favorite item to use. I would recommend that you buy just a jumbo roll off of Amazon. You can get one for about like 15 bucks. And honestly, it will last you for years, but you will be able to make so many decorations out of it. You can also use craft paper, which is really similar, but I feel like butcher paper is generally a little bit thicker than craft paper, so it's just a little bit more durable in my opinion, but craft paper is another good option. I got this from the dollar store for some videos I'm gonna be doing coming soon. So what do you do with butcher paper? Well, as I was already mentioning, you can crumple it up for rocks. That's a super easy thing, like literally anybody can do that. Cut off a chunk of butcher paper, crumple it up, boom, you have a rock. You know, you can use it for covering things. Like this one, it's bright yellow. If I don't want to paint it, I can just wrap that in butcher paper, kind of like you'd wrap a Christmas present. And then I would have a more neutral box that would work for a lot of themes and finished results. It's also awesome because you can use it kind of as like a canvas and paint a mural on it if you have someone who's like really talented and wants to do that. It's a great service for that because it's so easy to hang up. Again, just use your packing tape. You probably will need a lot of it, just a fair warning. But it's a great item to hang up different pictures, different cutouts. I've actually done something with butcher paper that's really fun for like Westerns, is you turn it into fence railing. So you unroll this a little bit, go about, you know, half a foot wide, cut it out, crinkle it a little bit to give it some texture, make it kind of like wood, and then you tape up these panels along the wall. So you've got a post going along, and then you have your slats going across this way. And like I said, it's great for just covering items that you don't want to paint, and it will last you for literal years because those rolls are huge, so that's really nice. Another great item for any VBS theme is some posters. So this one is actually a thicker poster. I'm talking more like posters that are like the poster board that you use for school projects and presentations. Super awesome for cutouts. As you can see in this clip here, we did some baseballs and bats and different sports items. We traced them out, we painted them, super easy to cut out, and then we hung them up on the wall. One of the things that I like about these, especially if you're doing cutouts, is they're very durable, even a little bit more so than the butcher paper, I would say. And they will last for years because they're so easy to store. So if you cut something out, whether say it's like an animal or it's like a tuft of grass that you cut out of poster board, that can be repurposed for different things. So that grass could be for a jungle theme, it could be for a Western theme the next year, it could be for an outdoor campfire theme another year. You know, same thing with animals. Maybe you do a horse, it works great for a Western, or it could work for a zoo. You can repaint it the next year, turn it into a zebra for a jungle theme. And it's really nice because the posters store really flat. So if you don't have a lot of storage for leftover decorations, then posters are a great way to go. Another item, it's really actually 3 items, I'm gonna kind of lump them together, is balloons, inflatable balls, and paper lanterns. I'm gonna kind of walk you through each of these, give you some basic ideas, and I'm kind of lumping these together because you can do really similar things with all of them. So balloons. Who doesn't love a balloon arch? Who doesn't love a balloon pillar? It's a great way to just fill up the space. You could also do something funky where you just tie a bunch together. This would work awesome for like the Mission to Mars theme that's out right now. This just kind of has that space, sciencey, almost like an atom kind of look to it. Super fun to hang, you know, from the ceiling, use on your stage. This would also be great as like a planet, you know, again, with the same kind of thinking of the space theme. Just hang a couple of these from the ceiling. You can even get some paint and just draw and add some texture on them, use a little bit of paint on them. And of course, there's all kinds of amazing balloon art creations. So if you have someone in your church who's willing to try to tackle it, a lot of them aren't as hard as they seem. You can make a really easy octopus using balloons if you're doing, say, an underwater theme. Inflatable balls. Okay, these again have so many uses. You can just get basic ones and you can turn it into a planet. You can also a lot of the times find different inflatable balls that are patterns. So for if you were doing the Incredible Race this year, it's kind of like a global cultural thing. You can probably find some inflatable balls that are globes. These would be super easy. You just inflate them, hang them from the ceiling, adds a little extra something, especially if you're in like a classroom, you can just hang a bunch of globes from the ceiling and that could be it for a room. You may also be able to find them that are like kind of sports themed. If you're doing a sports theme, obviously, you know, you could get like an actual basketball, but you might be able to find some online that inflate and look like a basketball. That'd be really easy to hang from the ceiling as well. Another item for either the inflatable balls or for balloons is if you're doing like fruit in a tree. So it could be like coconuts in a jungle theme. And then of course we have our paper lanterns. Pretty much any of the ideas I just mentioned with the balloons or the inflatable balls you could do with this. These are also super nice because again, they come in a lot of patterns so you can kind of work with whatever theme you've got and just kind of make it work for your theme. They're also really nice because you can turn them into so many things. If you're doing an underwater theme, you can easily turn it into a jellyfish with just a little bit of crepe paper. If you're doing something that has like a Japanese feel to it, you can have a couple of these lanterns hanging up, get some cherry blossoms, and get like a bamboo screen divider, and that will kind of set the stage for just different cultures and things. Or if you're even doing just something that's kind of outdoorsy maybe, or if you're doing like this year's Miraculous Mission, it kind of has an outdoor night sky kind of feel. If you're doing like a backyard area, you can even just hang some of these up and turn the light on. Super simple. All right, I know this is a lot of information, but we're getting close to the end. Hang in here with me. The next item is tablecloths, just these cheap plastic ones. I was actually really disappointed because I went to Dollar Tree and I picked a bunch up and they're like $1, you know, plus tax. And then I went to Walmart for something else and they were only 97 cents at Walmart, so I could have saved a couple of pennies. But anyways, these are really affordable and there's so many things you can do with them. These are really nice, especially if you find like pattern ones or even if you find plain ones who just take up space on the wall. I did a little bit of math, and if your tablecloth is 40.5 square feet, then you can fill up your wall with these for less than 2.5 cents per square foot. That's a pretty good bargain, right? I mean, you don't want to have to paint the whole inside of your church, but you can really quickly add color to large sections with tablecloths. You can also hang tablecloths from lights. So this is a really cool idea, especially at the ceiling with like the tiles that pop in and out. You open this up, you tuck the ends in, let it sag just a little bit, and the light will shine through it, and it will add some color to the setting. It's also super easy to cut up and to turn into so many other things. You can get some green, cut it up, turn it into jungle vines. Again, super cheap, super easy. Anybody can take a tablecloth and cut it up. You may want to do like, say, a waterfall. You get your blue, you can even have 2 different colors of blue, 2 different shades. Again, just cut it up, drape it over your butcher paper rock wall, and you've got a nice waterfall. Like I said, you can sometimes also find these patterns. This was at the dollar store. This would work great just to kind of set the stage for a jungle themed section of your VBS decor. And last but not least, pool noodles. You can get these at the dollar store for just $1, and these are great for lots of items. You can use these for trees, tape them against the wall, cut out some big leaves up at the top, turn into a palm tree. You can also use these as vines. You can either leave them together, you can just slice down the middle and cut it into thin strips for vines. You can use it as a torch, cut it off into smaller sections. This would also be great for if you're doing any skits and you need some kind of torch, really lightweight, really easy to throw together. Just add some tissue paper on top, paint it a different color, and boom, you've got a torch. And you can also turn this into seaweed if you're doing an underwater theme. So all you need to do to turn into seaweed is take your razor blade and cut 3 spirals going down, pull them apart, and it looks super awesome. All right, we're finally on to the 4th section of our video, and I'm not gonna keep you here much longer. This is one of my biggest tips though, honestly, for decorating for VBS, especially on a budget. And my tip is to network. Now, I know not every location has a lot of local churches in the area, but if you are in an area where there are a lot of churches in the general vicinity, definitely look and see who else is doing the same VBS theme as you. Now, you may be on the front end, you may be on the back end, but either way, I would definitely recommend that you try to network with other churches. So what I mean by this is, let's say you're doing a theme this week, and then a couple weeks later, another church is doing a theme. So you make all your decorations, you get done with VBS for the week, and now you have to decide, do we throw out all our hard work, or do we save it somewhere? But then where do we save it? Take your items, contact the church, and ask, hey, would you like us to donate our leftover decorations for your VBS? Now, maybe you're the guy who's partway through the summer. Call up another church. When you see they're doing the same theme as you and you realize it's getting towards the end of the week, just give them a quick phone call and say, hey, we're another church in the area. We also have a heart for reaching out to kids. We were wondering if you would be willing to donate any decorations that you don't want to keep, if you would donate them to us. And then also what we've done before is when other churches have donated decorations to us, when they're done with them, is they've asked us, and we have followed through with this, is we then donate to another church. So we kind of, if all the churches network together, you can get a lot of really cool decorations, keep passing them along. And it's a really great way to both save money, and it's kind of win-win for everyone because you have an opportunity to network and interact with another church and build those relationship opportunities for ministry. It's also great because, you know, the church that's getting rid of decorations, they don't have to feel like, okay, we put all this time and work and effort in, and now we're throwing them away. It's also great for you because you're probably going to save a lot of money if you have decorations coming in. You don't need to DIY or buy as many decorations as you may have needed to without the extra donation. So that is my big tip number 4. Definitely try to network. It's been super helpful when we've done this. So the 5th thing I want to hit on here today is just kind of why do decorations matter? If you've watched this entire video, first of all, thank you, and please subscribe. It would really help me out. But anyways, if you've watched the entire video, probably you at least think that decorations matter somewhat. But I just want to talk through why do decorations really matter, because I think it's really easy, especially after watching this, to be like, okay, there's so many ideas, there's so much work to do, and just to kind of encourage you as you go in this. So why do decorations actually matter? So first of all, it's a really cool way to tie into the theme in a very concrete visual way. A lot of times when VBS curriculums are made, they're designed very intentionally so that way biblical truths can be tied into the actual theme. So for example, let's say you're doing a knights in shining armor theme. Okay, you build a castle, you talk about how it's a kingdom, and you draw a parallel to the kids about the kingdom of God. So it's a really cool way, very tangible way for kids to really connect with the theme and understand the real lessons that are trying to be taught through VBS. Another reason to do VBS decorations is because it's a really good way to give kids a positive church experience. Obviously, a lot of people, when they go to church as a child because their parents bring them, but then as they get older, they drift away or they have a negative view of the church. But VBS is a great way to be able to give kids a positive interaction with church. And especially with the great decorations, it gets a kid excited about church. It gets a kid to realize that, okay, there's beauty in the world, there's things to be excited about, and church isn't just do this, don't do this. It's actually about building relationships, building a relationship with God, and building a relationship with others in the church, and having community. And it's also great for kids who are churched as well, even if it's not kids you're trying to bring in from the community. It's great because it gives them something to look forward to within their own church body. And again, sometimes there's ways that you can bring them in to help with these decorations, get them involved, and realize that, hey, ministry can be really fun. And also, last of all, what I found is that a lot of times when our decorations look really good, the parents are way more likely to stick around. There's been a growing trend I've noticed where, a lot of people treat VBS where it's like free babysitting. And I've even seen some churches start actually charging admission to VBS. And I think it's probably in a way to combat the balance between we're getting overrun and we're trying to not just babysit for free. But great decorations are a way that can really shift the parent's mind when they walk in and they see, wow, okay, someone put a lot of time and effort into this, like they take this seriously. You could strike up a conversation with someone and build relationship with people in your communities, including the parents and not just the kids, using these decorations. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that something in here helps. If there is a tip that you're like, wow, that's so smart, I definitely need to do that, or if there's something that really helps you, definitely drop those comments down below. Or if you have a great idea that you're like, okay, this is something we found we have to do for every VBS no matter what the theme, definitely drop those suggestions down below. Let's help each other out. And I hope every one of you has an awesome VBS. Thanks so much for watching and happy crafting.